AITA for not adopting my wife's child? I, 27M, used to have a wonderful relationship with the woman I love, 26F. However, 5 years ago, she got drunk, had a one-night stand, and got pregnant from it. Can't be mine. I can't have kids due to a horseback riding injury when I was a teen. Didn't get the guy's name, no way to find him, so he's out of the picture. My wife decided to keep it, and we almost went through a divorce, but couples therapy made us decide to try again. We're still in therapy now, since I still have a hard time trusting her. So, she had her son. We talked a lot about it, and I made it clear that I'm okay taking on a step-parent role, but I wasn't willing to fully be his dad. I wouldn't adopt him, but I would help raise him and get him off to college. My wife agreed to this, became a stay-at-home mom so she could take care of him with help from her parents, and I've pretty much been the fun uncle-like guy. I play with him, buy him games, try my best to not resent him, and I am in therapy for this, and mostly just stay out of the way of my wife's parenting. He even calls me uncle instead of dad. He knows I'm not his father, and is just happy to play video games with me and chill. Well, recently, my wife has started talking about me adopting him, something I'm not willing to do. I made it clear that if anything happened, he would go live with her parents, and I'd send child support. If they couldn't take him, I wouldn't put him in foster care or anything, but I also wasn't willing to take on the responsibility of being his father when I'm not. I'm happy being an uncle to another man's kid, since that's what life threw at me. This has greatly upset her, and she's trying to find a way to force me into adopting him. She's even been manipulating the poor kid, saying he should start calling me dad instead of uncle like he has his entire life, which is upsetting and confusing the poor boy. This situation has worked for the last 5 years, and I don't know why she's trying to change something that isn't broken, or force me into a role I told her years ago I wasn't willing to accept, which she was fine with until just recently.
Relevant comments. Guilty pleasure 39. You may want to check with an attorney. Regardless of whether or not he is your biological child, you have been raising and supporting him. Even if you don't adopt him, he's likely yours in the eyes of the court. That said, NTA. You had an agreement, you supported her decision to keep the baby, you worked through her infidelity. She wants to have her cake and eat it too.
OP, I have checked with 2 lawyers, one actually my brother-in-law and one an out-aid party. I was not put on the birth certificate, and was actually told by both that the fact that he wasn't mine was grounds for a quick divorce, no matter how long it's been. If we divorced tomorrow, I would basically be walking away free. My brother-in-law was disgusted with his sister when he found out, and was even the one to suggest I get the divorce. My other lawyer is much more neutral about it all, so I trust what he says.
Schmambo 88. Esh? Everything about this is pretty terrible. Her cheating. You purposefully distancing yourself from the child, who is not yours through no fault of his own, not to mention you being the only father figure he's ever known. Dads don't need to be blood. You all sound like a-holes. Except the little one obviously, who I just feel so sorry for. Sort your shit out for his sake. Anchovy_mac and cheese. Exactly. If OP couldn't grow past his resentment of the kid not being his, then he never should have agreed to stay in the relationship. It's not fair to the child. Either he needs to be all in, or out. Leave a trail. It's not that easy to just not resent. He's doing something better than being all out. He's still contributing to his life. It is sad he hasn't come along more, but he's not a total a-hole. ESH edit. I have changed my view. I think the thought that kid is better without him completely is true. The fact that he can't step into the role because he must have so much resentment, being called dad, is too much. Still ESH applies. Mother is also doing herself and kid a disservice.
Update. After reading everything, I told my wife I was leaving and pursuing that divorce. I think I've been ready to do so for a while, but just needed the push. This has led to a complete meltdown, but I stayed firm, packed everything up, and moved in with my brother across town. I have already contacted the landlord to tell him I would pay for 2 more months' rent. After that, everything needs to be switched to her. Talking to my lawyer, it was verified that, due to the process I went through after the birth to establish I wasn't the father, I would not have to pay child support or alimony, which is something very rare and uncommon anyway where I live. He's already working on the paperwork. No idea when it'll all happen, but once it does I'll cut full contact. My wife has tried to call and text multiple times, but I've refused to talk. I'll post another update when I know more.
Relevant comment. 136 when 136. ESH. First of all, I totally sympathize with you and the position you're in. Being cheated on sucks, and seeing your wife pregnant and then raising a child as a product of the cheating must be crushing. However, when I think about what's best for the child, who is the most innocent party in this, I feel for this child where 50% of his family unit is not completely committed to raising him and loving him. I'm not saying you should be committed to him, it's a big ask to raise someone else's kids, but by staying in the position you are now, with one foot in the family and one foot out, I do wonder how much the child is affected now, if any, and how this will change in the future as he gets older and wiser to the family dynamic.
OP. Please, tell me, what's better for the kid, a family member that's kind to him even if he doesn't love him, that pays for him to have a good home and be able to go to a good school in the future, or being raised in poverty by a single mother whose old job didn't even let her pay for rent in a studio apartment? Even if I don't love him, it does seem to me like at least taking care of him helps make his life better.